Tiki Twoflower, and welcome to Cosplay Tips with Tiki. Today we are going to be dyeing a synthetic wig. You only need a few materials for the method that I'm going to use today. As I do with a lot of my cosplay, I try to keep things as simple and inexpensive as possible. So the two main ingredients you need for this are water and acrylic paint in your choice of color that you're going to dye your wig. So the wig that I'm doing today is for TK Baha from the Borderlands video game series. Ideally, I want to get this wig a dark orangish red. And because this method isn't so much dyeing as it is staining, I'm going to mix up something that's actually a little bit darker than I want on the wig. So that's why I have some different shades here. I have an orange, I have a red, and some other things that you're going to want when you're working are particularly to cover whatever surface you're working on or make sure it's something you don't care about. I have a drop cloth on the table here. I have an apron and I have clothes on that I don't care about in case I get paint all over myself, which I probably will. And you can see me putting on my very fancy latex gloves, which are going to keep my hands from turning red. And just a couple other things. I have a little more water here in case I need to mix things up. I am going to apply the stain with a tint brush. This you can get at any beauty supply store. You might even be able to get like at the supermarket or drugstore. And I have a couple different size combs to comb through the hair as I'm working, as you'll see. I also have a blow dryer, which is not required, but it's going to help expedite the process as the paint's going to need to sit in the hair a little bit. So our first step is mixing up the color, as I said. So I'm mixing the acrylic paint into the water directly. And basically, the most important part about this is getting it well mixed. So that's why I have it. I'm already making a mess of myself. That's why I have it in a container that I can shake up. So I just added a little bit of paint. I'm shaking it up and looking at the color. The thing I need to keep in mind is that I'm starting with a blonde wig, which has a little bit of yellow in it. So color rules apply here. I want the wig to have a little bit of an orange tinge, like I said, but because it's yellow, no matter what, my color is going to be a little bit more yellow than if I were putting it just onto a white surface. So I'm actually going to end up making this a little darker and a little redder than I want it to help counteract that yellow. I maybe should have tested how watertight this container was before I started shaking it out. I definitely should have tested how watertight this container was before I started. But I have a drop cloth to protect my table. All right, so I'm happy with the color now. And I've made sure that it's well mixed. I'm gonna kind of run my tint brush through. You'll know it's well mixed when you don't see any streaks of color at all from the acrylic paint. And this is a particularly important step in getting an even color on your wig. Looks good. So I have a very short wig here. This is going to be a relatively easy process. If you have a longer wig, you will probably want to use some hair clips to take the wig into sections. And this is something I might show in some other segments where we're working with longer wigs. So for this wig, I'm simply going to be picking up pieces and saturating them with this acrylic paint water solution. And I'm going to go through and do the whole wig like that. That is step one. Well, step one of the actual dyeing process. So I'm starting at the back of the wig, and I'm just going to work my way up, making sure that every bit of this hair is pretty saturated with this solution. And I want to try to work as quickly as I can. Now, as I get to the front of the wig here, I can start to see that the wig is soaking up some of the stain. So once I get to the front, I'll work my way back through because I can actually visually see there's still some blonde spots that are going to need to be covered a little bit better. So the wig is about as thoroughly covered as I can get it with the paint water solution. I'm going to comb through with this wider tooth comb first. This is going to be especially useful if you're using a longer wig. Now I'm using my finer tooth comb. And I'm combing very carefully because the wig hair is wet and that's going to make it a little bit more fragile. So now that the stain is on the wig, you have two options. Option one is let it sit for a while. Comb through it periodically to make sure the paint doesn't clump up. You should leave it sit for at least 2 hours, up to 8 hours. Or you can do what I'm going to do, which is going to be to blow dry the wig to speed along the process, because before you rinse off the paint, which will be our next step, you want to make sure that the wig is mostly dry, because that means it's going to have taken as much of the stain as it can. All right, so as I was drying the wig, I realized it's still not going to be as dark as I want it to be. So I'm going to use what I have. I still have quite a bit left, and I have some more water here to add. So I'm going to mix this up darker and add more of my paint water solution. And then redo everything. Because a lot of times cosplay is about trial and error. Definitely try to err a little on the lighter side, because you're better off having to do a little bit more work than having to just throw out your finished progress because you can't get it back to where you want it to be. Alright, so the wig is dry with the stain on it. So the next step is going to be to rinse it out in a sink using cool water. I am going to simply rinse the wig in cold water until it runs clear, to just get out any excess paint that's left in the wig. So you can see the water dripping from the wig is clear. There is no color left in there, so that means we're done rinsing. I am going to very gently wring out the wig just to get the excess water out, and then get a towel to continue to get some of that excess water out. So the wig dyeing process is finished, other than actually drying the wig. Usually you want to let your wigs air dry. You can put them on a plastic stand like this and just let them dry overnight. You probably want to have something underneath them like a towel or a drop cloth, because they might drip. Again, in the interest of expediting the process, I'm actually going to blow dry the wig again so I can have it dry and see what it looks like. So now my wig is dry, and it's this beautiful sort of strange gingery color, and I'm happy with the results, honestly. We went from blonde to red, so pretty cool. Tune in next time where you can see me style this wig.